What is up, guys? Welcome back. If you were with me earlier, I had some audio issues. It's like the third time of doing this, but I think we've got them figured out. My wife and I were looking at actually how to resolve this once and for all. I'm using some Beats now. These things are tested, reliable. They're pretty much good to go. But I often use this microphone here, and I think that it has actually been overpowering the USB connection to my phone. I don't run off of a desktop. When I use the little features here, that is through the desktop, but otherwise I'm just running from the microphone straight into the phone. And I think that has caused some issues. But anyway, it's been a big week without Roma. I know you're feeling lonely. You're feeling bored without them. You're like, what do I do? Maybe you watched a little bit of Italy beat England. Nice to see you again. Good goal by Raspadori. Man, has he been decisive, not only for Napoli, but now we see him show up big time. He's a true number 10. I really like that player. He seems to have some goals in him, although I think that he is a bit more of the creative mind first and then goals second. But it's been some good stuff for him so far. Overall, I would like to see our boy Zaniolo get in there, but that's another story for Mancini for him to work out in the future. I don't think it'll be him making those decisions. But anyway, all right, cool. So the first thing I want to go over today is Mourinho's interview with Esquire Italia, look at Gini Wijnaldum's recovery, onto Roma's new leisure collection for New Balance, maybe what Manolas is up to, Costas Manolas, something that has happened with Matic and Roy Keane, of all people. Then some words from Spinazzola onto the official AS Roma podcast in Italian, and then ultimately get to Batistuta and what he said at Italy's training camp ahead of that big match. So let's get where is he? That's our guy. You probably saw him this week with Stormzy's video. It's like a 7 or 8 minute song, and who makes his appearance but that guy, your new Tinder profile picture. Look at him. He's so funny. You got to love Moo. And really, so much of today's episode is focused on him. So let me get that pop up here. He's saying all the right things still. So speaking with Esquire Italia, he's Hublot's ambassador. Hublot, is that how you say it? The watch company. And gives this interview, and he's talking about how Serie A has changed from when he was last in it to what it is like right now. And a couple of those differences. And he says 10 years ago, after I left, Serie A had a difficult time. Speaking about how the play actually looked. The quality of the league dropped, and as a result, the league had little appeal abroad, correct? Now, on the other hand, I have found an exciting and competitive league where the players also come from England to play and be competitive. Think of Chris Smalling. Compared to 2009, there is still a difference with the top teams, but today the rest of the clubs are better. And now, I'm not sure I totally agree with him, but here I do. He says that there are coaches with many ideas who play offensive and ambitious football. Then there are teams such as Roma who are also growing in a broader sense as a club, bringing more and more fans to the stadium with great possibilities to evolve for the better. I immediately think of managers like Sotil, of Juric, who's hard-nosed, and back to Sotil, all-out pressing football, get the ball back, get numbers up the pitch quickly, try to score a goal. That's a much different philosophy compared to like 20 years ago with the Catenaccio style, or just sit back. A team comes up from relegation and they're just looking to scrape off a couple draws here, maybe a win once every like 7 matches, and hopefully they fight another day, but ultimately they go back down. But now hopefully we are seeing a change of the guard here, a bit of a mentality shift. I'm not sure if it'll last, but I really do hope that it does. And then speaking with Roma at the end here, he says, bringing more and more fans into the stadium. If you're familiar with what the Friedkins have been doing, one reason why we see like 14, 15 games that are sold out, I actually have this statistic here. Roma is the 11th in top average attendance in European football right now. That's looking like 60,964 on average. Those are staggering figures. 60,000 plus, I'm going to write this in as a banner, Roma 11th in Euro football attendance. And I'm going to make that scroll across here because I think that's one we want to get in there. Yeah, there we go. Massive. So the tickets have been cheaper, and this is directly coming from the Friedkins. It's an initiative to get more people into the stadium. If you do that, it looks better. The players definitely feed off that, and it makes a better product. Not only because you actually see people in the stands, but also because you have that motivation behind them. And when they do score a goal, they run to the Coverciano, and the whole stadium is just a massive cauldron. If you've ever been to the Stadio Olimpico, you know what I'm talking about. That is a special, special feeling. Very hard to describe. Marco, thanks for coming back, bro. So you stuck with me, and I'm trying to repay you for that. He says if Zaniolo played for Juve or Inter, he would be in the national team easy. 100% agreed. But because he plays for Roma, he does not get that national attention. He does not get the benefit of the doubt. The newspapers do not look upon him kindly, and this is what Roma players have to deal with. I mean, you can call me subjective here, but really, I mean, if I was an outsider looking into it, the same situation, I would agree with Marco. I really would, and I do. So, great audio. Yo, thank you. Yeah, so I'll figure that one out. But right now, I've got my beats in, and I love these things. So, he says something important here, too. He says, people are everything. They give you the dimensions of what you've done, and you feel part of a very special family. In my mind, when he says that, I think of him running. I said that as if I was like, not, as if this like English wasn't my first language. As if you see him running through the suit, and then he's just celebrating with everybody. Like he feels it. He's getting tears in his face. Like he's feeding into the emotions. He's letting it get to him. When they win the Conference League, I remember him on the bus holding up the trophy, and you feel part of a very special family. I love that quote. That one's got to stick around. Man. On to different things. Before we go back to Mourinho with Spinazzola's comments, I'm going to pull this over here. I like this. Roma New Balance, new leisure collection. This is for going to the park on a Sunday, a day like today, bringing your kids out or taking a walk. It's a nice, brisk afternoon and you want to stay comfortable and also look good. You grab the New Balance, the felpa or the fleece. I like that. I like it a lot. I've been hot and cold on New Balance. Some things I'm like, too conservative. The shoes, not my style, although they're cool. But this, I do like. And you know what I love? That third kit. That black and pink third kit, to me, is tremendous. I want the Dybala one as of, yesterday, as if it was in my closet. It needs to be there. Very, very cool stuff. So I give them applause for daring on that third kit, because that's what it should be. It should be for trying to do things a little differently. You've got your first, your traditional. The second one this year was also traditional. And then try something different. And I really appreciate that from New Balance. Sometimes Nike did not do that, I think. They come out with some bangers of kits, but sometimes I felt like they went conservative and they used templates and it looked like other team stuff. I didn't like that. I felt like Roma should have been treated like a top-tier club, and too often they were treated as a second tier. I didn't really like that or appreciated that. So I'm happy that they've got this leisure collection. Cool stuff. And of course, that stuff's live on the AS Roma website. Now on to my guy, Spinazzola. You know that he's been up and down this past season. Against Juventus, he did not have such a good game, but he's still working his way, I think, into 100% fitness. He wasn't called up by Mancini. Apparently, purposely, he told Mancini that he didn't want to play because he still wasn't feeling up to snuff. So, but he had some good things to say here. He said, let me pop this up, my banner. He says, we are with him, Mourinho, and whatever he says, we follow him. If he tells us to go to war, we go to war. It's that simple. He has this unbelievable gift. Then everything he says, for the most part, comes true. Historically, when you look at things that Mourinho has said, whether it's at Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, he's been proven true. Like these things, they come to fruition. And Spinazzola gets it. He says he's very quiet and calm in training. Really, I don't know what he was like in the past, but he's really calm with us. Sometimes he just watches from afar. He prefers to observe how you move your body language. He observes these things a lot. It's his nature. Cool stuff. And I like reading that. He speaks about him being calm. Maybe in the media, Mourinho seems like this character, excited and jumping up and down. But in reality, what Spinazzola is saying is that he's much more mature than that. And I think that paternal characteristic is something which definitely feeds into the locker room and gives it confidence and hopefully a stability long-term to this team, and one that they've really needed. So let's go to Dybala. Let's go to Batistuta real quick here. He had some comments. He was at Coverciano ahead of Italy's training before they played and beat England, and he met up with De Rossi, who is the assistant to Mancini right now. He still is. And Batistuta said, only 5 to 6 match days have passed. It could be a good year for Roma, for Inter, for Milan. there's a lot of contenders in Serie A. With the arrivals of Mourinho and Dybala, Roma are experiencing something similar to what we did in 2001. Hopefully, this Roma can also experience a similar ending like this. There were a lot of parallels, I think, coming into this, and a lot of optimism coming into the fall here after the post-mercato, in that you got this energy, like real. Once Batistuta came in 2000, I think a lot of people started to feel like Roma really could do this. It was coming off the back of Lazio winning the Scudetto, and Franco Sensi went all in. Roma is not there just yet. There's, maybe if these injuries to Wijnaldum, Zaniolo, and El Shaarawy did not occur, maybe we would be feeling a little bit more optimistic, maybe shooting for the moon and talking about Scudetto. You think with those players, Roma's worth at least 5 more points in the table. So who knows? Maybe, but Roma gets unlucky with these injuries, and that's not a new story. That's no revelation there. On other news, Smalling looks like his contract is going to be extended until 2024 based on an automatic clause, based on appearances, I believe. That's reported by Il Messaggero newspaper. Cool. We got a comment coming in. Okay, Marco says, go to war. Mourinho should teach them how to control the game and score goals. Got a bit of a Marco ha ragione, as they say. Has some truth to what he says here. So Roma has been in this slump, right? And I think so much of it stems from Pellegrini dropping further up or being pushed up. And at that left wing position, he doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't know if he's playing as a center mid or as an attacking trequartista or as a wing forward. And it's been, I think, a tough situation for him. If Zaniolo doesn't go down, if El Shaarawy doesn't go down, he slots back into that center mid position. I think Roma is much more balanced from there. But it's really affected Mourinho's play, in my opinion, having Pellegrini have to play in that advanced role. I need Wijnaldum back right now. I need Bove to show that he, to prove to his coach that he's ready to be a starter, because I think that kid has what it takes. I want to see Volpato enter the setup, talking about youngsters, and see a little bit more of them added and given minutes the way that Zalewski was last year. Zalewski is, in my opinion, the starter at the left wing back role, and that was only because he did get that chance and he had that confidence from his coach. So, we got to get that ball in the back of the net no matter what. Mourinho has paid the big bucks to figure these things out when the injuries do occur. It is a lot for a manager, but we got to get over that hump. We know we have Inter Milan coming on next Saturday, October 1st, 12 p.m. my time, 6 p.m. Italian time, I believe, unless daylight. I don't know when daylight savings is. But yeah, so they've got to get that ball in the back of the net. Roma's XG is the highest in the league last time I checked, expected goals. So it's just a matter of that calmness, that confidence, being cool, calm, and collected in front of the goal, getting it into the back of the net, and getting our shooters up there too. You can make as many opportunities as you want, but if you don't have your pure shooters and Abraham getting onto the end of those things, then you have what you have, which is an XG way high, actual goals scored much lower. In the strangest news of the day, Manolas joins United Arab Emirates side Sharjah, where actually Pjanic just signed following his contract termination with Barcelona. That's an interesting one. I thought those guys would have had better careers, to be honest, yet they fell off. Their best years of their career were at Roma, and I didn't think that would have been the case, especially with Pjanic. I thought that he could have slotted in a role. Pjanic could probably play right now if he really wanted to for Roma. He could have been a good player to slot in that center mid, maintain tempo the way that Mkhitaryan did, but it shows you the difference between a good player and an elite player. Mkhitaryan's still trying to play for a Champions League side. He is playing for a Champions League side and get some real minutes. So I think that says a lot about those players. And Marco says agree about Pellegrini. He's lost up the pitch. Yeah, like him in up there, he's got to be deeper. Last year he was so impressive, but I think that was in a more of a central role rather than this winger role. So it's a bit different. But if Solbakken comes in, I think that's the player that Roma needs economically and as far as what the team has right now, that he could be that guy with El Shaarawy perhaps on his way out. If Roma does not extend that contract, I have a feeling they're not going to, then Solbakken could be the future. I believe he's 24 years old. I would like to do a deep dive once that becomes official. I know that there's a lot of attention on this subject right now, but until it becomes, from a legitimate source that he is joining the club, I don't really want to go too far into getting excited on just a possibility. So anyway, we've got Manolas out in the Middle East, Smalling and his contract renewal, which is about to hit. Spinazzola spoke, Batistuta, and one guy I think that deserves some credit here, one guy who would get more points, Wijnaldum. It's been a tough time for him. If you've ever had an injury and you've had to sit out from playing for quite a bit, you know that it can mess up with your head. And he says, the last few weeks, I was very emotional and sad, but I learned to accept that situation, and my recovery is going well. Thanks for all the messages and support. I feel bad, not only from a competitive standpoint, that Roma will be so much better, but that this guy, he really wants to play. He wants to be part of this team. He wants to be productive and putting in points, creating goals, being that box-to-box player that Roma so desperately needs in the center right now. And I think that if he was there, like I said, Roma would have 5 to 6 extra points. They would be right up there with Atalanta at the top of the table right now. They would have beat that Atalanta side. Mark my words, they would have beat that team last weekend. That was a robbery. Who now sit at the top of the table. He came out with something as well today regarding he posted a video, I think, of him on crutches and training and just showing that he's working towards it. So we need that strong mentality, guy who wants to get back on his feet. And he is only in Roma on loan. So once he gets back, I think he's going to be really impressive. And of course, on the bright side, Roma does get that month and a half, 2 months of international break due to the World Cup. I know he's going to be bummed about that, but the Netherlands could be a dark horse in that as well. Maybe not so dark of a horse, actually. They should be one of the favorites given that team. Guys, let me know what you think. Shoot some comments in. I'm going to check the news right now as well, and let's see what's going on. Anything before I sign off? I'm going to check ForzaRoma.info. I love that news site. Just about Wijnaldum, Pinto working towards the renewals. Mourinho is waiting Dybala. Dybala was not called up. Apparently, though, he actually went to watch Argentina's match. Salik and Zalewski played 90 minutes with Turkey and Poland, respectively. And, Vedatut says that Mourinho actually wanted him to stay, but he made this choice on behalf of his career or his will that he was to go back to France. So I think Vedatut could have played a good part in this season. Marco says, did anyone in Italy comment on Zaniolo's penalty situations versus Atalanta? Not that I know of. I could do a quick search here, though, in the news. Zaniolo penalty. I think my computer's giving me some trouble. Zaniolo penalty. I just want to see what comes up in Google News real quick once I do that. Also, those Timber links coming from Ajax today. Timber, I don't know. I don't buy into them. Timber is a guy who's followed by the top clubs. He's 21 years old, center mid, very good. I loved his partner actually a little bit more. Gravenberch, guy I really loved, and now he's at Bayern Munich. No, as far as I've got nothing since last week for regarding those dubious no calls against Zaniolo. So go figure. Oh, Marco, thanks for joining and putting in those comments as well. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Got a bunch of views, people jumping in and out of the viewers here, the box. Give it a like, subscribe. I'll be back with Uncle Sharma, Inter Milan YouTuber, doing some Q&A, some fun questions. He's a great guy. So we'll be doing that on Thursday night, and it'll be published sometime if you're in Europe, late Thursday or around dinner time if you're in the Americas. So thanks for jumping in. One last comment. Yeah, my man. Thanks. Guys, give it a like. Ciao. Subscribe. All that stuff.